Hey guys, Kyo here, and this time, as you can see by the title, this is another interview. Now, I know I did one before with Dicehead27. You can check him out. This time, I'm doing it with the Masked Man. If you want, you can just introduce yourself.
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
Alright, so basically, a lot of you might know how this works. I'm just gonna ask him questions from a set list I've already have made, and then yeah, he's gonna answer them, and then I might have follow-up questions and stuff like that. So, it's pretty simple. It's not really that complicated. So, let's just get straight into it. So, the first question is, what got you into anime and manga?
What got me into anime and manga?
Yeah, like, was it a friend? Was it like?
I was like around the ages of like 10, 11, and my uncle was actually really big on like video games, anime, and manga, stuff like that. So he's definitely the one who gets the credit for it.
Alright, what was the first one you watched?
Dragon Ball Z, more specifically.
Yeah, that's most people's first anime.
Yeah.
And what would you say is like the first anime you found to be like really, really good? Like you just thought, oh, this is amazing.
That's, I would have to say the first anime I thought of that I was like, it's really amazing, would probably have to be like, I don't know, maybe Code Geass, because I saw only a few anime, and then actually Magi. Now, when I first saw Magi, I really loved it, so I'll say Magi.
Yeah, Magi is like, I don't know, it's still one of my favorites I've ever seen. It's just Magi, right? And what are you like reading or watching right now?
Right now, I'm watching Yu Yu Hakusho, and I'm currently reading Pandora Hearts, and I'm taking my time with Hajime no Ippo. And I'm also watching
recently finished Ippo. Where are you at?
I'm only like on chapter 30 for Hajime no Ippo.
Alright. And you're reading the manga?
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're more like a manga person than an anime person then?
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've gotten more into like manga than anime lately. Just because it's probably more, I guess, portable, if that makes sense.
Right.
And then I've heard a lot about Pandora Hearts as well, so I might get into that eventually. Okay. And what was like the first anime or manga that you just like didn't like at all? You just disliked it from the start? Maybe not from the start, but you know.
I voiced that I didn't really like Ava, but I can respect it regardless. But I think the only anime I saw and I was genuinely like, there's no value in this other than like a female character that I thought was kind of hot was Isekai Chi Magician.
Wasn't that one of those seasonals that came out like a few years ago?
Yeah, it came out 1-2 years ago.
Yeah, I think I saw that on my feed one time as I was just scrolling, and I kind of just like ignored it because it looked like a typical Isekai series that just comes out every year.
Right.
Yeah. And what's like your favorite like genre, like, and like your favorite manga in that genre, for example?
Wait, what?
Like, what's your favorite genre of manga, right? So like psychological, action, comedy, romance, stuff like that.
I actually really like romance. I really do. Most people probably wouldn't see that coming, but I'm a big fan.
I didn't see that coming either.
Yeah. Most people think of me as like, the dark, serious type.
Psychological stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, but my favorite are like personally, I just really love a good romance. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but it's whatever.
And what's your favorite like romance manga? Like I'm assuming it's Love is War.
Yeah, Kaguya-sama. Easily.
Yeah,
Kaguya-sama.
I think it's the only romance manga I've read, but it's definitely like a top 5 or 10 series in my personal opinion, especially the manga. At least for me.
Right.
What's the next question? Alright, what would you say is the most overrated series, and then what's the most underrated series, and like why?
I personally don't like that question, just because I think overrated and underrated is a little tricky, because like overrated and underrated is all based off of what you think the common perception of this series is, right?
Yeah.
So like, for example, I'll take something like My Hero. You ask some people, they think My Hero is good. You ask another group of people, they'll think it's trash. You ask another group of people, they say it's like the greatest thing ever. So it all really depends on your perspective and what groups you're around. I myself, as someone who makes a lot of content, I see a pretty wide, varied opinions, and I think, I've just come to the conclusion that like there's too many different varying opinions on a series to say it's truly overrated or underrated, right? Because then it's like, what if you're referring to quality? Well, that's completely subjective. And then if you're referring to popularity, then that's just like, then it's just kind of mean, because then you're basically saying an author doesn't deserve the amount of like attention that he's gotten, or she's gotten.
Yeah, I can see
So
what
it's
you're
like,
saying.
I think, yeah, so I think like a manga like Akumetsu that maybe hasn't had the most amount of sales, I would say is underrated based off of popularity. But in terms of quality, most of the people who read it say it's really good. Like, it's like if everybody calls something underrated, is it
Really
really,
underrated. Yeah.
really, Yeah. Like, is it really underrated? If everyone says it's underrated, then it is. So it's like, it's tricky. So I
Yeah.
can't really answer that
So
question.
let me rephrase that. What's one series that you feel like should have, I guess, like should be, like more people should read?
Akumetsu, for sure. Akumetsu will always be the one I point to.
I don't think I haven't read Akumetsu.
It's
I know it's
really
like your
good.
profile
It's
picture.
like,
So
yeah, that's the
That's all I know
inspiration
about
for the mask. Yeah.
And then what would you say? I mean, some people might not want to answer, but like, what's your favorite and then your least favorite video, if you have one?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think my favorite video is the Berserk documentary. Even though I feel like I could have done some things better now, like talked a little more about Mira's personal life and his own evolution as like an artist, I think overall it was like a passion project. And I think a lot of people can get behind that video. In comparison to, I think my least favorite video is probably my first video ever, which is deleted for a reason. Yeah, everyone's first video is kind of doo-doo.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing about YouTube is getting better from there.
Yeah, most people like would say that's their least favorite video. That or like a meme video they have.
Right. Yeah.
And would you? I'm a guess it's seinen, but would you prefer seinen or shonen or seinen, however you say it?
I do tend to prefer like seinen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like most. I mean, what more of the like critically acclaimed manga, at least in like the manga realm, are seinen, right? Like Vagabond, Berserk, stuff like that.
Yeah, the majority of the critically acclaimed manga are seinen. But then, to be fair, most of the like critically acclaimed shonen are like anime.
Yeah, that's true.
Not to say that there aren't critically acclaimed shonen manga, because there is like Slam Dunk and stuff like that. But I think when it comes to manga overall, seinen just kind of works better for that kind of medium.
Yeah, because you don't have to censor as much and.
Right. Yeah.
Which is why like some series just either can't be adapted. Well, I mean they can, but it wouldn't be great, right? Like Vagabond just because of the art. But then you have other series that are just too.
Would be difficult.
Yeah. Like some series
We
you
just
can't
work
put
best
on
in black
TV.
and white. Yeah.
And what made you want to start YouTube? Like, was it someone that inspired you, or was it just like what was it?
Well, I'd always been a huge fan of Swag Kage and Totally Not Mark for a while, and if I was like, if I ever did YouTube, it would be like them, But I didn't watch them and then be like, oh, now I want to do YouTube. It was just always like, oh, if I ever want to try it, this is how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you should look at inspiration. Yeah. I presume.
Yeah, and then late my senior year, I was in a computer class, and like me and my group of homies, and I was so happy I got my homies in that class, because I had just transferred to that school, and I was like tight with them like immediately. Like we always did our group projects, because all the assignments were basically group projects, and like we would always get it done the fastest. Ours would always look the best, and they were like, yo, like you should do YouTube, like you would be good at it. And thank God I was like, yeah, you know what, sure, why not, I'll try it. That's basically, listen, if there's a phrase to describe my channel, it's literally, yeah, sure, I'll try it, why not? That's literally my channel in a nutshell. Yeah, sure, I'll try it.
Yeah,
sure,
because I know, like, well, you've been growing a lot recently, especially from like around 50K to 100K. Like that was like a very quick growth, at least from my perspective. I know a lot of people got inspired by you, but like I first started YouTube because I don't know, I watched like, I think it was your Magi video and your Record of Ragnarok video. I forgot who was with. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. If I ever do YouTube, I'll probably do his style, right? And I mean, yeah, I kind of started YouTube a few months after.
That's dope.
Yeah. Have you ever like lost like motivation for it like throughout your journey? Like, you just say, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore," or
Oh
you just didn't want to
man,
record and stuff.
all the time. Like, like okay, I I'm balancing myself well now because I can afford to pay for an editor, and even now I have assistants so they could type out my scripts and I just speak it to them. That way I don't have to type them out, and they help me with the research and all that. That's what I've been doing for like the last video I did, which was how to write the perfect protagonist, and then this upcoming video, the art of manga. But it's one of those things where like there's going to be so many different exhausting factors, right?
Yeah.
When you start off, you're excited, you know that you're growing,
Yeah,
and
but
what
you like
matters is that you
views,
learn to
yeah.
improve, right? Your energy is high, but then once you start realizing with YouTube that quality doesn't always equate to the quantity of views you get, that could be pretty demoralizing. And it's like, damn, I literally have to build up an audience first and then make the videos that I really want. And that's what I've done, and it requires patience. And the main thing for YouTube is to understand that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And that's how I've been trying to treat it. Um, with that being said, there are a lot of moments where I don't want to do it anymore, but it's not because of the creative aspect. I'm someone who's very achievement oriented. Like it's almost like a shark. If I stop moving, I'm a die. And that's how I feel. Like if I'm not doing something where I feel like I'm being productive or I'm doing something of value, at least to me, then it was a waste of a day and it actually kills my mood. But
Yeah.
what does drain me is the social aspect. I say this with as much love as possible, but I hate so much of the anime community. It's not even funny. Like, okay, not so much because it's like it's not everybody, and it's usually the smaller percentage, if not always the smaller
It's just
percentage.
those people,
But
yeah.
I just don't I just don't get where it goes wrong. Everyone's imperfect. I have a temper too, so it is partially my fault. I let some things get to me that I shouldn't. But
Yeah.
and the more you grow, the more you learn to ignore comments. It's like, oh, whatever, that's whatever, because that's how the internet is. But there is a part of you that just feels so demoralized to know that you're pouring your heart, your soul, and whatever little bit of like I'm young, right? But it's like whatever little bit of wisdom and whatever passion I give into a video, and you got some crayon eater just like, oh, but this series is mid. It's like, bro, like please, and you might get demonetized for this. I'm sorry, but bro, just please jump off a building. Like it just like I pity that because it's like, bro, like these anime are meant to inspire, for you to learn things, for you to have some form of escapism so you could enter the real world and be better. And that's the purpose of entertainment, is to give your mind a good break so you can enjoy, boost your energy, your morale, give you some inspiration, whatever, so you could go back into it, right? But then when it's like so many people waste that for this stupid little search for petty clout that lasts them 10 seconds or whatever, and it's just like you're a waste of life. And oh man, I feel like Thanos sometimes, bro. Like, oh, but that could get really demoralizing, man. And you're just like there, like, bro, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore sometimes,
Yeah, I
on
felt
top of all of the stress that comes with YouTube and the tediousness of editing sometimes. Like all of that combined can be such a mood kill. But then like for me, I'll answer that. I'll leave it at that. That'll be my answer to the question. Is
I
yes, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't
Why?
even have to worry about being demonetized yet because I'm not at that sub count. We'll just say that for
You'll
now.
get there.
Yeah,
You'll
but
get there. You'll get there.
yeah. How long do your videos generally take? Cause like I know you have like assistant editor and all that, but like how long would they generally
Right.
take to edit before, at least before?
Well, if I send it off to an editor, it might take a couple hours. It might take a day or two, depending on the video and what I ask for the video and the quality of the video, also the length. But if I edit the video myself and it's kind of a one that doesn't require much editing, I'll give you a rough estimate. An hour to usually like 3 days max, depending on all of the different variables. Now, my Berserk documentary video, I really took a lot of time into making that one, and it took me 2 weeks. Just because I wanted every piece of music, every visual, everything
Yeah.
to turn out
You
exactly
want it to be
like I
as good as
wanted,
it can be. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like this is my send off to the series that gave me the platform that I have, or at least I have to credit a lot of it to Berserk because that's
Yeah.
what people know me for.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
Um,
like people generally think of you and they probably will think of Berserk.
Yeah, that and that's like such a cool thing for me.
Yeah.
Like that's dope to be associated with your favorite series.
Yeah, I mean, like I mean, that's probably most people's wish, right? They're like, oh yeah, like they want to be associated with their favorite series. What are some tips or just stuff in general you want to say to the people who want to start a channel or just haven't for some reason?
Um, I would say, well, first understand that you need to have good thumbnails and titles. And there's a thing such as healthy clickbait and non-healthy clickbait. My most viewed video is the Johan one at this current moment, the greatest antagonist ever in anime and manga. I genuinely believe that, but I could have named the video Johan Analysis. One is way more intriguing to click than the other,
Yeah.
you know? And that, I mean, mind you, this is advice and tips I would give other than the base essentials, have a decent mic, because for me, the visuals, I wanted to make my visuals better in my videos as I got bigger. I wanted to see how far I can get with just people caring about what I have to say. That way I could talk about anything and they would do it because it's me. They would want to watch it because it's me, and it's worked. That strategy worked.
And not because
And
of the cool visuals, yeah.
Right, or not because I'm speaking on a trending topic. So that being said, speak on some trending topics, but also balance what you want to do and what other people want to see. So make sure that like you understand the concept of supply and demand. So say while like Jujutsu Kaisen was blowing up, I was trying to pump out Jujutsu Kaisen content. Now it would have worked because I had a pretty large fan base, but assuming you're a small starting off YouTuber, right? If you made Tokyo Revengers content before Tokyo Revengers came out, or Jujutsu Kaisen content before Jujutsu Kaisen came out, you were set. There were videos I saw that went from 1,000 views to 300,000 views, So it's like you have to be ahead of things, which is why I think starting a manga channel now, like I don't want to say I changed the game. I don't know. People would have to like tell me if that's true or not. But it is one of those things where like there's a certain way you got to tackle a niche and you got to be a step ahead kind of, of everybody. And that's not just in like covering trends again, that's in covering stuff with a high demand but low supply. And also make sure that your videos lead on to another one. So say you do a video series, have like a part 1 and a part 2, or if you do reviews, put them all in a playlist. So people are like, oh, he's spoken about Naruto. What does he think about One Piece? What does he think about Bleach? So just understand that being a YouTuber is more than just pooping out random content. It's actually a brand. You're a salesman of your own channel. Remind people to subscribe, because like those videos in which you remind people to subscribe do way better than if you never remind them. Because sometimes someone might like your videos, they just won't hit subscribe because like they're not thinking of that. There's so many times where I've seen one of my homies like stream a video they're watching, and then they'll click the subscribe button as soon as a YouTuber tells them to subscribe. It's a guarantee almost.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
So it matters that you have good content, of course, or content that is worth watching or worth listening to, but you also got to sell that content well with your presentation. And be unique. Like if you start off a YouTube channel with like Naruto Uzumaki 1-2 or YT, no, the Masked Man is a nickname from Obito, but at least it's somewhat unique. Like the Masked Man, it's like its own character. If I name my channel Obito Uchiha, my goodness, that's terrible branding. I couldn't sell merchandise of that as well. So, it's important that you understand that you're a brand and focus on things that will help you as a small channel. Don't do things like you're a big YouTuber, right? Like there are videos I can do now because I have an audience that I wouldn't have been able to do it all when I was small and starting off. So, take inspiration from the bigger YouTubers, see what they do well, and then do it in your own way. Like when I started off, I was basically a ripoff, totally not marked. Like it was terrible. I was so terrible. And, I was like, I want to be myself. And, and that comes with some time on YouTube. So it's a lot of advice. Sorry, it took a long time answering that, but that's always a multi-layered question, really.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I'd rather have a longer response than like do good or something like that, It's a lot.
Right.
It's more interesting. And it just sounds better in general. Is there like, do you want to tell people about like your journey to 200K, right? Like,
yeah.
How it all went?
Yeah. So, where do you want me to start? Like from, like just the beginning? Like.
Sure, the beginning.
I'm
okay. Interested.
So. Like I said, I started off kind of a ripoff, totally on Mark and Swag Kage. I originally only did like Naruto content for a few months, and then I read Berserk, and I was like, I need to watch some videos on this. And I saw the videos that were out at the time. Huh?
I thought you read Berserk like before you started YouTube. Okay, that's interesting.
Nah, yeah, no, I've read a lot of manga since I started my channel. Like, I'm new kind of to manga, you know? Like, I'm
Yeah.
new, and I think that's the cool thing is like my channel grows as I grow.
Yeah,
You know, like
I
there's a lot
expected
of
Berserk to be a lot of
misconceptions.
people's first manga. That's
Maybe, but like it it was one of those things where like I I like oh man, I lost my train of thought. What was I on about?
I think you were on
So I
about
got
you read Berserk and you started watching the videos.
Yeah, I started watching videos on Berserk, and I saw Nux's video, Soul's video on Gut standing apart from different protagonists. And then I saw, I think it was Civit's video where it was like, what went wrong with Berserk 2016? Because I saw there was an anime. Apparently, the anime was due to. I was like, that's baloney. But I also kind of got into Berserk originally because I saw a death battle video, and when they said like Guts cut off his own arm, I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I thought that's what it was. It was just a cool story. And then I read it and I was like, oh, this is so much more than just a cool story. So it is kind of wild that technically, outside of Dragon Ball and Naruto, Berserk was my like third legit manga ever that I read from like start to finish. Like it's insane to think about. So like whenever people accuse me of recency bias, that's where I'm like, suck it, because it's like Berserk was one of my first, and I keep coming back to it, and it's like. And a lot of people are like, well, then how do you manage that? Like, how do you read all these other mangas? And it's like, it's important to understand that each story offers its own thing. Like, I can't punish a romance for not being a dark fantasy all the time, and there will always be preferences I have towards stories, and people need to understand that. I prefer character driven stories. Like, I'm sorry if you don't like, agree with that. Like, that's cool. Like, but that's fine. But so I got into Berserk, and I noticed that there were a lot of content when it came to analyzing Berserk, but not a lot of content for people who were kind of new to it, or from the perspective of someone who was new to it. So I was like, oh, let me make some Berserk videos. I made a ton of Berserk videos. The majority of them were pretty poopy, in my opinion, but that gained me a following. And then December of 2019, I made a video, The Beauty of the Angry Character. That video blew up. It got like 300K in a week. I was like, oh snap. It took me from 10K to 20K literally in 3 days. So I did a bunch of beauty ofs, I milked the living Christ out of that. And then I went back to my Berserk videos, and I was like, well, I need to do something else. I can't just only do Berserk, right? If not, my channel's gonna die. And people a lot in the comments were like, hey, we'd really like you to talk about Vagabond, Vinland, Kingdom. So those were the other mangas that I read. Yeah. And then those videos did well. And then this is going to be the ironic part. Someone was like, hey, I'd like to hear your thoughts on One Piece. So I read One Piece. I stopped right before Whole Cake at that time. But I did a video on it when I was halfway. And I gave my thoughts on it. It was a pretty bad video, if I'm being honest. And let's just say from that moment onwards, my relationship with the One Piece fandom has been pretty ugly.
Yeah, they're pretty
I'm with a lot of One Piece content creators. Nah, it's one of those things where it's like if someone says like One Piece is their number one, and all these people come at that person, One Piece fans will be like, oh, it's cool, it's just their opinion. But then as soon as I'm like, yeah, One Piece, for me now, One Piece isn't in my top 50. They're like, what? It's like, what happened to opinions? Yeah, it's like, what happened to opinions? You pretentious fuck. All right, anyways. So then it's ironic though, because like I genuinely like One Piece, I do. And it's the series that helped like allow me to expand into manga as a whole.
Yeah, it was one of my
because
first
then afterwards
then
I was able to, because I saw a bit of the anime. I watched up to Skypio with my little brother, and then the rest I read through the manga. But it was one of those things where, and then I went back to watch Water 7 and Ines Lobby in the anime like a couple months ago. But when I did that video, it opened up a lot of things for me. And then I was like, oh great, now I can finally talk about Naruto. The Naruto video did well. I did a Hunter x Hunter video that did well. I did an Attack on Titan video that did well. And I was like, next I'm gonna get into JoJo's, right? But before I could do that, I was like, oh, let me do a video on Magi, And then at the time, I was also doing Record of Ragnarok stuff because it was an up-and-coming series, and I was like, if it ever gets an anime, these videos could blow up. And they did, despite the anime not being the best. But when I did the Magi video, I got hit with a ton of strikes because like Shueisha is trash and YouTube is basically incompetent when it comes to fair use laws. So to deal with that, like almost a year now ago, I signed with Screenwave Media. They help protect my videos from Japan. So if you are from Japan, you have to watch my videos with a VPN. But I had to take a month break to get all those copyright things fixed. And then when I came back, I did a JoJo's video. I did a few other videos, and then I just kept reading more and more manga. And then I did like my top 10 manga, right? Which at the time, I probably hadn't read more than 20 when I did my first top 10 video.
But it's a top 10.
Yeah, so it's a top 10. I was like, this is the top 10 out of like the 20 that I've read so far. So like, yeah. So now I've come a long way since then though. But it's one of those things where, these are the 10 series, and I treated it more like a recommendation fun video, because that's how I've always been with my channel. It's like pretty chill for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized people really like hearing my thoughts on manga, and I couldn't really understand why. And to this day, I still don't know why. So maybe someone has to explain that to me. But from there, I did different types of videos. I did, like how to write the perfect antagonist, which I was very happy that video did well because I put a lot of effort into that one. And then from then on, I just continued to do like more videos and stuff. Oh, but before that, when I did my first Berserk video, it was a Berserk timeline, Berserk Explained. And in that video, so hold on, my bad, someone texted me. So when it comes to Berserk, my very first video was the Berserk timeline, Berserk Explained. It's not the current one that's on the channel. The first one I did was trash. So I redid it the day before my birthday when I got my wisdom teeth taken out. So that video helped push the Berserk stuff more. But fast forwarding again, then I just kept doing my thing, and here I am now. So that's kind of how that's gone.
Yeah, it was you kind of like blew up around like what 50K, right? Or like, cause I just remember you like I checked in. I looked at your channel one time and I looked at it again like 2 weeks later. It was like a 20K or 30K difference at the time, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah, my last question, I might have, should have come in with more questions, but maybe not. I haven't checked the length. Do you have anything to tell the people, like, before the end of the video?
Crap. Anything? I don't know. I'd probably just, I don't know. I don't really know if I have a message other than like subscribe to this channel if you aren't.
I will. You heard him first. So, yeah, that's basically it for the video. If you liked, let me know what you thought down below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the Masked Man.